How we doing, lads? You alright?
Good evening.
Good evening.
It's too positive a
Well,
podcast last week. So we've came back with a bang.
Well, you're not going to get any positivity out of me tonight, that's for sure.
Fair enough. Is that just what spending a day with me does to you, Kev? Isn't that right?
It's the fact I had to pull the car over 3 times on the way up to Dundee just so you could have a piss. And I saved your blushes. Let's be truthfully honest about this. I could have quite easily pulled over into a lay-by and you would have had to have a pee on the side of the A90. But no, I was a good enough lad to actually pull aside so you didn't have to piss in front of everybody else.
True, actually, and thank you for
that. You're welcome.
Ando, back your holidays. Good time away.
Yeah, it was good. Glad to get away. It's the first holiday I've had in a wee while, so it was good to relax and unwind. Glad to be back though. But imagine my utter devastation and disappointment when it's you two cows that are faced with for the first time in 3 weeks. Not get Corbett to look at. It's a shame.
Jagger himself is not here tonight.
No, he's just he's that annoyed by the defeat of the weekend. There you go. Or 2 defeats in a row. That's it. Welcome to This Is My Story, your Hearts podcast. I can't remember really what Corbett says, but basically we're absolute shite, and our opinions are always way off it, so take them with a pinch of salt, essentially. There we are. So we're going to go over our 2 games in the last week against PAOK and Dundee away. We've got a Tam down as well, Kev, and I'll do the headlines quickly. There is any. So there we go. Headlines done. Except for the football, I suppose. There's plenty to talk about without bringing in anything else really there.
Well, that's for debate, mate, and that's what we're here to do.
Shall we start lightly then? Will we go with a Tam down, Kev?
Oh, we can start lightly and go with a Tam down, not a problem, mate. There's a high chance that this could be the longest Tam down we ever do, because there's no chance that Tam you're going to win it, but we'll see what happens. I've got all faith in Ando.
Don't do that. Don't do that. You utter shitehawk that you are. Don't do that. It's setting me up for a glorious failure.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. So for this week's Tam down, given that we play PAOK again on Thursday night, this time over in Greece, we played them last Thursday. I'm going back to the season of 2009 and our Scottish Cup victory at Easter Road, in which a certain player, now involved with PAOK, was involved. Probably played one of his best games, I think anyway, in a Hearts shirt. So it's Sunday, January the 11th, 2009, Scottish Cup game at Easter Road. And just to be an absolute horrible wank, I'm going to start with you, Ando.
Can I go with Christos Karapidis?
Certainly can, mate. There we go.
That's the one I would have got.
Exactly. Hence the reason I went to Ando first. So, back to you then. Over to you then, Tam.
2009, you said, yeah?
Correct, mate.
Kello.
I will give you that. Kello was on the bench that night, or that afternoon. Ando?
Andy Driver.
Andrew Driver started in the first 11 that night. Tam?
Kevin Kyle.
Kevin Kyle is a no-show, mate. Was not in the squad. So back to you, Ando. Chesney was there. David Chesnauskas.
Did you give us did you give us a result that day? I'm just trying to remember. I can't remember.
It was 2-0, mate. It was 2-0. We have yet to have the goal scorers on that particular day.
Okay. We would have Michael Stewart.
Mikey Stewart. Well done, Tam. Back to you, Ando.
Better.
Christoph Berra. Excellent. Tam?
Zaliukas.
Zaliukas. Correct. Ando?
I always seem to get his surname wrong, but Ruben, is it Palazuelos? I don't know what the proper pronunciation is, but him.
Yes, correct.
Lovely Spanish guy.
Ruben Palazuelos. That was his 50th cap that day, according to our friends along at London Hearts.
50th cap? Wow. He played for Spain on the same day, did he?
Certainly did, mate. Aye.
Good. Right. Fair enough.
Tam?
Lee Wallace.
Lee Wallace. I'll give you that. Ando?
Do you want the goal scorers? Will I do it alphabetically by first name?
Yeah, if you wish.
It's Christian Nadi.
Christian Nadi.
Come on, Tam. Get
Tam,
the other one.
What was the other one? Must be able to get the other one for that.
I actually struggle. What was his name? I'm going to go with my original answer because I can't even get... Younger boy, right? Am I making it up? Okay, I'm just going to say Bruno Aguiar for the team, please.
You're going to go with Bruno Aguiar for the team. Bruno Aguiar was not playing that day.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
And also, if we're doing it alphabetically by surname, right, and I said Christian Nadi, the only two letters you can't have are A and B, and you picked Bruno Aguiar. What?
No, I said I wasn't going for the goal scorer because I couldn't remember.
He did say that.
Apologies.
He did say that.
I was going to say.
But I think I know who it is now. I've just...
Okay.
Okay, take the limelight, Ando, because it's back to you.
He said David Abua got the other goal.
He didn't, but he did play that day, so
did he
well
not?
done.
Shit.
Nah, you're in the wrong game.
Was it the Gary Glenn game?
It was the Gary Glenn game.
Right, well, that bit's getting cut.
Nope, we're keeping that bit in. We're keeping that bit in.
That's annoying. Where?
Yep. So there we go. So for those of you who are wanting to just check where we are currently, we are still waiting on 2 of the first 11 that day, and we are also waiting on 2 non-playing subs, as we've got one of the subs already, which was a sub goalkeeper in Kello. Current score is Ando with 7, Tam with 5, which I'm going to admit to, I didn't expect you to get to 5, Tam.
Thanks. Appreciate that, mate.
And I don't expect you to get over 5.
Well, I'm just trying to think. We've not named the keeper yet. So
we've not named the keeper yet.
Who is it? Goal,
Correct.
Actually.
It's Ando's.
Okay. Egert Jonsson.
Egert Jonsson. Correct. Tam?
Was he one of the playing players?
Mm-hmm.
He was one of the playing players. So we have 1 of the starting 11, and we have 2 on the bench.
I need to ask a really stupid question, right? Did David Abua score in that game, but it was ruled off or something like that? I don't know why. Why? No.
Don't believe so.
Right, okay.
I think you might be thinking of the game at Easter Road when they were redoing the new that stand, and they only gave us like 750. And a certain someone had an absolute blinder of a game, and then Abua scored in the last minute, 2 minutes to go. I think I might still have a chunk out of my shin after celebrating that day.
Maybe I'm confusing 2 things then, clearly, but never mind. Right.
Yeah. Anyway, you're still trying to work out the goalkeeper, Tam, so I'm going to give you a countdown of 4.
Oh wait, whoa. It wasn't McDonald at that point, was it?
No, you're correct, Tam. It wasn't McDonald's. So, but you're not getting a point
for being wrong. Your other boy.
It was, but again, it's over to Ando now because you've had your
guess.
guess.
Can't remember his name now, to be honest.
It's. I can't remember his first name, but it's Balog.
Balog,
correct.
What was his first name?
Balog.
Janos. Fuck.
Janos Balog. So we've got your starting 11. We have got 3 of the 5 subs. 2 subs are yet to be named. Were non-playing subs. If you want positions 1 I will give you as a defender. One is a winger.
This is where I'm going to struggle.
And it's back to you, Tam.
A winger. Mikalinus.
Nope, incorrect. Ando?
I don't know. That's where I'm going to struggle. They'd be young laddies, I guess.
Well, one was a fairly young lad, but was a decent young lad.
Templeton.
Novakolas.
Templeton. Templeton was. Anybody want to take a wild guess on the last player? He played right back. Moved on to Dunfermline and maybe Wraith Rovers.
Jason Thompson.
Ando beats you in with that one as well.
I think I said it at the same time, you bastard. No.
And the fact is that even if you were to look at, for Wi-Fi facilities or anything like that, Ando's actually even further away than you are, Tam. So from that point of view, you still got in there earlier than you.
It's the lag on your like round wheel up one.
Aye, whatever, Dick. So, final scores on the board was Ando with 11 and Tam with 5. So I was right. You never got over 5.
Chuffed.
I'm not much over 5. Anyway, so
if Corbett wants to take off next week as well, then I'll school you again, Tam. It's fine.
Do you want to do another one, Kev? Or do you want to just put off talking about the football a bit longer? Or... Nah.
I can show you the photos from my holiday if you want.
That'd be nice. We can put them on there.
This is my holiday podcast.
There we go. Aye, the
I've got
show.
mine for my Speedos in Mallorca as well.
Fucking hell.
No, we didn't want to see that.
Actually,
couldn't even sell
if
them.
we were going to start a Patreon, which we might well do now, how much would you sell them for?
£69.
Okay.
Per Speedo.
Interesting. Right, cool. You're going to rub the gusset about a bit more. Just get some...
I've just thrown up in my mouth.
Aye.
Don't worry, it's all clean down there thanks to Manscaped.
We're not even paying us any money. Fucking hell.
Other products are available.
Aye. Right, enough of the gusset chat. Move on.
Right, Thursday night at Tynecastle. PAOK Hearts. Obviously, Tynecastle under the lights again. My first experience at this season after being on holiday for the Rosenborg game. But Kev, you were obviously there. Ando, you were away. What did we think pre-game? Obviously, the team came out. We were all wondering what the hell was going on. Who was playing where? Were we playing 6 at the back, 5 at the back? Whatever it was. But obviously, it turned out to be the usual 4-2-3-1 with the only real change being Cochrane and centre mid. Thoughts on that, first of all?
Well, my initial thought was, what the hell's happening here? I think from the point of view of what we've seen against Partick the week on the Sunday beforehand, I think there was a good case for a number of other players to maybe be involved. If I'm being truthfully honest, I think to bring in Atkinson to play it right back again, I don't have a particular problem with it, but the Boy of Fire had looked half decent on the Sunday. Appreciate though maybe not having a full sort of pre-season and things like that might have had a bit of a that might have put a little bit of a kibosh on him for getting the start on Thursday night. But again, you also got to remember that you can look great against Partick Thistle, but you're coming up against a fairly half decent Greek team that have been in and around European competition a number of years now. So from that point of view, I can probably understand why they started Atkinson at right back. And in all honesty, I thought he had a half decent game.
Yep.
But all in all, I think my only question, if that was the inclusion of Vargas, again, yeah, he looked good against Partick Thistle. But I find him at this moment in time maybe just a little bit lightweight for that kind of game. And I think maybe something like Oda might have been a better option. Although in saying that, there's not much difference in weight category between the two of them, I don't think. Both of them probably need to run about the shower just to get wet.
surprised you say that. I thought Vargas was one of our better performers on the night. Obviously, that's hindsight after we're talking start of the game, to be fair. So, yeah. What do you think? Were you shocked yourself, Ando, that Denham didn't get the chance to start again after his fairly decent performances?
No, I'm not surprised. I think for I'm absolutely all for young players getting their chance, and yeah, big thumbs up whenever we do that. But there's a time and a place for it, and playing meagre opposition in a humdrum league game at home or in a cup, where you probably are likely going to get a result, is where he should be starting his early days for us. We shouldn't be throwing him into a game of that magnitude. Definitely not. So I agree with it. Yeah, it would have been brilliant. There's some players that you could probably throw on that instantly turn to gold, but how many of them have we ever had? So yeah, I think it's probably right to leave him out. In terms of the other bits that Kev was talking about, echo what he's saying. I did look at it and I thought it is quite like the front and wide areas very, very attacking, but the midfield was a bit of a concern, if I'm honest, and obviously that proved to be the case. So that was my initial thoughts on the lineup.
Yeah, I agree with you both. To be honest, it's one of those things. You could have played anyone up in the last quarter, I suppose. The last quarter, wow! So that was the football term there. In the final third, it was great to see Boyce and Shanklin playing together again. I won't get sick of seeing that for as long as we can this season. Certainly that, but yeah, obviously we started the game fairly well, fairly positively. Then obviously the penalty. At the time as well, I didn't honestly think, I wasn't sure it was a penalty. I was quite scared that VR wasn't going to give it. I don't know about you two, but
I've been on that train way, if I'm honest. I was like, nah, the VAR getting a decision in a big game like this, and it going our way, not a chance in hell. It's definitely getting pulled back. But no, thankfully it wasn't.
From my angle, and Ando, of course, where I sit in section G because it's right next to each other. You could see from that angle that Vargas had actually been very clever by just knocking the ball across the boy, so that he had to, effectively either stop and let him have the chance of shot on goal, or he was going to get a tangle of legs and more than likely win the penalty, which was the case. I'm on the other side of the park to yourself, Tam.
Mm-hmm.
So from my point of view, I was more like, why is he even going to VAR? Why is he not given the decision straight out? But again, that's position within the stadium and everything else that comes with it. But I was more the other side of how the hell is he not given it in the first place?
Yeah, no, fair enough. To be honest with you, there was about 6 bodies in front of it that I couldn't actually see. And then obviously it does get given. The atmosphere at that point in time as well, where we were waiting on VAR, was tremendous, I must admit as well. The Heart song belted out for all 4 stands prior to the decision being made. I thought that was proper hair on the necks type stuff again.
Wait a minute.
Hairs
on the
hairs
neck.
on the back of the neck. Fuck me. This is why I shouldn't be in this position of power.
That's Sorry, mate. We were quite happy.
It's really easy. All you have to do is just think about what you're saying and say it. That's nothing more to it than that, really.
What's thinking? Don't know.
Okay, fair.
Yeah, and then obviously our lead was short-lived, to say the least. Chance up the other side of the park.
There's a very good talking point. Kyle Rose at this moment in time, and Ando, just so I got his name right this time, not like I did last season.
Just in case his missus is going to hunt you down and slap you.
Absolutely. But what was he doing? And really, what's been going through his head over the last probably 7 months, maybe 7-8 months? I don't think we're seeing the same player that we saw at the beginning of last season. I mean, that game at Easter Road that you and I were at, Ando, he controlled the game. He didn't look out of place at all. Yeah. You thought he was going to move on to bigger and better things. He then breaks 2 bones in his foot, and then from that point of view, he becomes we never see him until the World Cup. He doesn't have a great World Cup in my opinion. I thought Harry Souttar looked a better centre half than him, and we've just not seen the same player come back at all.
Suppose kind of what happens when you sign somebody on a 4-year deal when they maybe not deserving of it. But
I agree with you in a sense, but I don't think the drop off has been that pronounced up until very recently. I think it has been. It's like down and down and down and down and down, and then all of a sudden, more recently, it's maybe angled down a little bit sharper. So that again, we're splitting hairs on a timeline here. That doesn't really matter. But I agree with you in general principle. Yeah, he is getting. He's not the player he was, but his drop off more recently has been pronounced. I think, and that's a bit worrying.
But if you take Thursday, for example, that's nothing to do with ability. That is genuinely just he's made a mistake and he's trying to resolve the mistake by diving in when there is absolutely no reason. So that is, to me, that's completely like confidence. And for him to have absolutely that zero level of confidence in the rest of his team as well, which I can't explain why he's dived in like that to give away that penalty.
To play devil's advocate to your point, Dan, because we love a devil's advocate, then is that part of it is skill, because decision making is a skill, whether you like it or not. Right?
Yeah,
it's not a physical skill, but it's obviously a mental skill. And his decision making in that instance was absolutely shocking. But because it is a sort of mental process, that's something that he can get better at. But again, I like your point about confidence, though, because if he's thought, oh, fuck, this is the last resort, this is what I've got to do, because he's got no confidence in the guys around him, I kind of get that, because Kent's just new, and then you've got, obviously, Kingsley as well, who's, let's be honest, been a little bit flatters to deceive for the tail end of last season and so far this season, although I do think overall he's much better than what he was towards the end of last season, so, on what I've seen so far, but still leaves a lot to be desired, so I get it. But yeah, it's one of those ones, you see it and your head just goes into your hands right away and you're like, oh my God, what have you done? But yeah, one of them.
Yeah, I just found it really bizarre, the whole, not just on Thursday night, but his overall ability. He's getting pulled out of position very quickly and very easily. And my biggest concern is the fact that he seems to be very lightweight. For a centre half who is 6'2", 6'3" or something like that, you would be expecting him to, firstly have the aerial sort of presence to get rid of most of the sort of long balls, high crosses, whatever. But he seems to get muscled out a hell of a lot. And if we're seeing it, or if I'm seeing it in the stands, and I know shite all about football, according to most of the people that listen to this, which is probably true, it would appear to me then somebody must be seeing that within the actual coaching team as well as, and are turning around and saying, well, look, we don't need you to run around the park and keep your fitness levels. But we know perfectly well you've got an engine in you. What we want you to do is go into the gym, start doing a wee bit of weight training, and just sort of bulk up a little bit to actually make sure that you are able to handle these situations, because that's Scottish football. Scottish football is about, ruffling up your centre half, or that's what you want from a big, huddy that you sometimes find up front playing for a Kilmarnock, a Motherwell, or whoever, And I just think that's maybe something he needs to maybe look at, because if he's stronger in the aerial ability, then he's got a chance to actually win more headers, and from that point of view, doesn't have to make those decisions as well as. I could be talking shite.
No, I don't disagree. I also wanted to put it to you, do you reckon he needs a bit of time out? Just sit out for a month? Something like that.
Well, that's fine, but who do you bring in?
Well, I was just going to suggest, I don't know if Kingsley goes into the left centre half. I know we've scrapped that before, but Cochrane's coming back for suspension. Kingsley drop in. At the moment, I'm not a fan of Kingsley at centre half, but I take it ahead of the way Rose is playing personally. But do you bring Civic in again? But I don't think he's particularly fancied either.
I don't know, is the short answer. I think one of the best things, I suppose, for confidence, if you like to go back to your confidence point, the best thing to do is to give him minutes in games, and give him a chance to atone for his errors. That's really what it comes down to. But I think you want to have, we've got a lot of big games, obviously, over the next few weeks. You want to have, because it is still early in the season, the most settled squad possible. where they're being able to sort of learn and sort of maximise the opportunities that they're getting. So I think I think you persevere with them. I don't want to become the whole sort of Tinkerman team again of just fucking half a dozen changes every single week. I think you keep them in and you persevere with them. But that's my thoughts.
Nah, what do you think, Kev? Do you take him out? Do you keep going?
At this moment in time, I agree with what Ando says. You don't want to be tinkering. We speak about, bits and pieces about how can you get consistency if you're going to be chopping and changing the team week in, week out. So, but that back line, with the exception of Atkinson for a fire, that whole back line has been fairly regular. You effectively know that it's going to be Clark in goals, then you've got Kent. Kent and Rowles as your, let's say, central defence, and then you've had Kingsley because of from a league point of view anyway, you've got Kingsley in at left back because of Cochrane's suspension. That is fairly, but we seem to be making too many silly mistakes.
Yeah.
But I get why certain people will be sort of calling for him to take a bit of a breather and sit on the bench, and as you rightly say, you could look to move Kingsley in to centre half and have Cochrane as your left back. And let's be honest, he is the best left back in the club at the moment. But it raises a different, another question from my point of view. And Ando, you've just said there just now, but you don't know. We've come out in the papers, or Naismith as the technical director has come out in the papers and said that our business is done in this transfer window. Mm-hmm. Now that's an alarm bell if you ask me. If we're sitting here, we're talking about the fact of a fairly non-confident, centre half, and I know we've got Halkett to come back at some point, but there's other glaring issues around midfield, creativity. Okay, you've now been able to get a bit of pace back in the side with Tagawa, Oda, and Vargas. Mackay, okay, got injured last week. So you're covering that bit, but there's still no creativity when you take Mackay out the side, and he's not going to be back for, I don't think anyway, at least for another 3 or 4 weeks.
You've said it's maybe worse than that as well. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah. He went. It was right in front of me. He went down. You could see it straight away.
Yeah, he's holding it straight away.
Yeah, I don't think. I'm being honest with you. I don't think you see him until the next transfer window at best. That's how bad I think it is, because I've seen it the way he went down.
Yeah. No, to be honest, at the time I thought the exact same. You don't go... He's not the type of player to... I know he's kind of a bit lazy, and he's the way he sort of gets questioned about how physical he is and stuff like that, but the way he actually reacted and was straight holding the hamstring, it looked quite a badging, to be honest.
That hamstring was his knee, but again, you were quite far.
I thought it was the back. So. I thought the back. See, again, as you say, I'm the opposite corner for you, Kev. So we'll just go like that.
But that's my question to you guys is: do we still need to actually have some activity in the transfer market? I believe we do.
My biggest worry is the last 3 games we've seen Civic play twice, Cochrane play in centre mid. I know Haring's out, Biringaby's out, but. Where's your new Neuenhoff? Where's he? Is he injured?
So he was injured, but there's chat that he's flown to Greece today.
Okay.
And he's got a visa, because they've been able to get visas for all 3.
Oh, have they? I didn't actually know that. That's good.
So they got visas for all 3 of them sorted out. Thankfully, you would think a club who want to be competing with the 2 ugly sisters would have had all that kind of stuff sorted out well before.
Pretend a wee bit of a tube, and I've got no idea.
Pretend?
Yeah, aye. Why would they have been unable to get visas?
So it's an interesting question, mate. It really is. But if we've said that we were interested in the Australian boy 5 weeks ago, why would we not organising his visa way back then? That didn't allow him to actually travel to Trondheim to play against Rosenborg, as was the same with Tagawa and Vargas. It says to me that there's certain elements around that side of things that need to be improved at the club if we are going to go out and as they keep saying, we want to be closer and closer to the two ugly sisters.
I wouldn't be too quick
along the
to pour scorn on the club where the British government could probably be blamed.
I was going to say that, yeah.
More likely to do with work permits, and you can't apply for a visa until you have a work permit, and the reference number that's on the top right-hand corner of the letter or some bullshit like that.
It's not even the visa. I think it was to get out of the country. You had to have this piece of paper because you only arrived in the country.
I get that, but you didn't hear that happening to Aberdeen or Celtic, Rangers, even Hibs. You never heard of any of that way. Their new signings.
That's true.
So it just seems that to me anyway just comes across pretty poorly. But hey, we're not here to talk about politics and everyone else.
Yeah, not unless it's
Absolutely
the
not.
Belgian legal system again from 3 years ago. I loved that episode, but never mind.
The early days. To be honest, we're being fairly doom and gloom about this game, but I think it's because of what happened at the weekend. But I thought we played pretty well. I was quite happy with the performance.
Yeah,
There was certainly they weren't. I expected more of a threat from them without knowing anything about them, but just by going on, I don't know, Greek league, as you said earlier, Kev, they've been in and around Europe for years. I kind of expected a bit more, but they were there for the taking, and you could see it.
Don't disagree with that, mate. My only issue was that other than the boys sort of chance that he had in the first half, I didn't really actually ask a lot of questions about their keeper, if I'm being truthfully honest.
Yeah.
I
wasn't even the keeper.
I don't really remember him actually having any saves to make. I thought we looked good when we moved the ball about quickly, and I've said that enough times over the various weeks that we've not been moving the ball quickly enough. We did on Thursday night, but I just didn't think we actually really challenged their keeper in any great shakes. But all in all, I think you're right. I think we played really well, and had we came away with a 2-1 victory, people couldn't have really complained any. If it had finished a draw, people couldn't complain any. Just the fact that we're Hearts fans, and when we get beat, we do complain, because that's what we're all about.
Absolutely. No, I thought your two favourites, Ando, I'm going to say, is Boyce and Shanklin. They were brilliant together. I don't think PAOK could really handle the two of them going towards them at the same time. Like, when they had the ball, one was going. When they didn't, they were coming towards each other. It was brilliant to see. I think I've already spoke about that tonight, but that's how much I'm enjoying to see that, to be honest with you.
Worth covering again. I think the reintroduction of Boyce to the team is a breath of fresh air, because it's even not just in the PAOK game, but the other games he's played as well. He's just, for someone that, I don't know, tell me I'm talking shit, right? But I think since he's come back, he just seems to be a lot better with the ball at his feet just now. Like, see, even just like dribbling with the ball, getting past somebody, he just seems to be so much better at it. But I don't know if that's just me with my Boyce rose-tinted specs on, and he was actually always that good and we've just missed him, or that we don't have anybody that is so good with the ball at his feet in close quarters with other players. I don't know. Kev looks like he wants to say something and shoot me down, so over to you.
No, I certainly don't, mate. I think what you've said is right. We've missed him. His footballing brain, I think, is what is now evident in regards to it. He's been definitely a breath of fresh air, and the way in which he actually links up with Shanklin, where Oda, I thought he linked up really well with Mackay on Thursday night, and Vargas. I think there's a lot of positives there. I know he was interviewed. I think it was it before I think it was before the PAOK game, and he says, effectively he feels that he's got a challenge in front of him because he's never played sort of group football in Europe, and that's driving him on. And I think that's a great motivator to actually have. But his only issue, I think, and he'll admit this himself, is he should maybe score more goals than he does. But he's not a goal scorer, in my opinion. He's not a goal scorer, and I don't think he ever was brought in as that. If I'm being honest, I think people identified him because he was a Stendhal signing, and I think Stendhal identified him, or whoever identified him, as somebody who can actually link the play so much better than what we had at the time, and even now what we have currently. And that's what I think he brings to the team. And we did miss it in a number of games last season. I think if we did have Boyce, we probably would not be sitting here talking about a game against PAOK, we'd be talking about a game against some other team from Norway. Can't remember what they're called. Haken, something like that.
Something.
Sweden, but close.
Finland, Denmark, same shit.
You're going to get your teeth knocked out, Tam. See, when Kev's... I feel there's an undercurrent here, right? So it feels like Kev has had to babysit you on Sunday because you've been that minging, and that the distance has done you okay, but now that you're being a snippy wee wanker again, he's getting ready to batter you.
You know what the issue was with Sunday? He was just jealous for the first moment I arrived and opened up. He poured me a beer. He was like, "Oh, I'm jealous of that." And there we go.
Yeah, but you still were arsehole. But anyway,
harsh.
Fair. Second half then. Obviously, actually, how did it go? Shankland offside goal first. Was it before they scored?
Yeah.
Kev, you're obviously in line with that. Was it? Could you tell at the time?
Never even thought about it.
Nah.
Never even thought about it. If I'm being truthfully honest, it never even entered my head that he was offside. I mean, I've seen it now, and he is offside. There's, you're never going to debate it. But at the time, I was giving the linesman on the other side absolute pelters, and I didn't even contemplate that he was even going to be close to offside. The way in which he's taken the ball. As a pass from Boyce actually, and hit it sort of first time high looping into the top corner. I was putting it down as one of the best goals I've seen at Tynecastle for a long time.
Yeah.
And that includes the Ginnelly goal that we scored against Aberdeen at the end of last season, just for the sheer technique more than anything else. I thought it was absolutely spectacular, only to be turned round after celebrating with half of Section G to find out it was offside and felt like a right dick again.
Is this automated VA, like offside for VAR they've got now, isn't it? Where it's like goal line technology essentially, isn't it? Which made it even worse because I was like, why is he not viewing the monitor? And then somebody told me that, so I looked like a right tit.
Yeah, well, you're going to look even more of a less of a tit than me because I didn't even know anything about that. It was only I had no idea this was a thing until it was mentioned on the TV commentary because, as I said, I wasn't at the game. I was watching it on the BBC's coverage and they're talking about an automated offside thing. I'm like, fucking hell, it's news to me. I didn't even know this was a thing that existed. But bollocks to it. I mean, it's worked against us this time, so I hate it. But when it works for us on Thursday, inevitably, then I'll be singing its praises.
Absolutely. And then talking about good goals, their boys' finish was fairly decent. Questions to be asked about actually anyone following them, or as you said on about 10 occasions on Sunday, Kev, what's your biggest gripe with us at corners?
Put everybody
Which
back.
I completely agree with.
Put everybody back and do zonal marking. Zonal marking does not work. If anybody at the club is listening to this, stop it now. Because if we did, if you simply just man up, take somebody and put them on the halfway line, that takes 2, sometimes 3 people away from the attack. When you put everybody back, it allows them to have everybody in an offensive position. There's 2 things in my opinion. Firstly, we don't act quick enough in regards to the corner itself. That in my opinion you should be shot for it. But secondly, because we have this zonal marking, the boy's got flipping acres of space. He can virtually pick his spot. And yes, you're right. I mean, he hits it virtually perfectly. He's probably one of these guys that you can ask him to go and try and do that again, and 6 times out of 7, 99 times out of 100, he'll hit the post or he'll hit the corner flag or he'll hit Rose Ed or whatever. And I, again, because of where I sit, I could see it going straight through a ruck of players and Clark, who on the night I thought he had a half decent game. There's been a few questions raised about him recently, but I thought he had a half decent game on Thursday night. He had no real chance with that because it came through so many players.
Agreed. Yeah, no, and he gets quite close to it, to be honest, to be fair to him as well. Like, he's not far away, but as you say, you're begging for a shot though. Like, the way we've set up, it's just it's like, here's the goal, let's have a go. Like, here's the ball, take it and see what happens to it.
You've got you've got to ask questions. You see the management team sitting there watching their little iPad. How can they not see it? How can they generally not see that is the situation?
True.
You man up. You know perfectly well who's going to be playing. Right, Rails, you're 6'2". That boy's 6'2". You match up. All right, Vargas, you're not going to win any headers, right? But you've got pace. Get him on the halfway line. That way, if a cross comes, correct, cross comes in, Clark takes it or punches it, because that's his favourite thing. And from that point of view, as long as he can punch far enough, Vargas has got a chance of actually picking it up. But we don't do that. We Dundee did it on Sunday, and I know we're going to come on and talk about it, and I can feel the rage already inside me. But it is just, from my point of view, it's poor. We know that defensively we are not as strong as we could be. So why put additional pressure on that back line?
Yeah.
Why even contemplate it? Why not take that away, take 2 or 3 of their lads away, whoever that team may be, and actually be a bit more offensive rather than defensive? Hey, who am I?
You're correct, to be honest. I can't even disagree with you. As much as I want to give, I can't. Yeah, it was just... And then after the goal, it was just kind of chasing at that point. I don't know if you've got the sense, but I kind of felt like we were a wee bit defeated at that point. I'm not sure if that's me in hindsight or what, but it was one of those ones that I felt the fans certainly thought that we might have high over, but it's all to play for still. As we've said, they aren't that good a team. Going away to Greece is a different ball game completely, but yeah.
Do you want to do a preview of that game now then before we move on to Dundee? Seems probably sensible to do it now.
I think it probably is. Aye, yeah. Keep it now. Aye, yeah. Okay.
I'm worried for us going over there on Thursday. Right? Yes, there's all to play for, and all that stuff. You're absolutely right. But the two big things. Number one is the heat. So they're going over to what is probably I've not checked the weather forecast, but I'll guarantee it's around 30 degrees.
It's actually, yeah.
If not warmer than that. So there we go. Right. Have we done any warm weather conditioning at all? Has the summer in this country been any good to prep us for that level of heat? No, it hasn't. The next part is, as we spoke about, I don't know if it was before we started rolling the tapes on this or not, but basically they're going over to an absolute... It's going to be like... It's going to be an absolute snake pit that they're going into. Their fans look absolutely mental, and that's obviously... we'll get there one day with the Ultras movement, obviously, but they look quite an intimidating spectacle when they're all there en masse, and the flares and the fireworks and all that sort of stuff. That's going to take a lot of strong characters to stand up to that, and also they're a decent enough team. We've covered it already. Yeah, they're not going to, I suppose, win the competition or anything like that. They're not that good, but they are still beatable. But them on their home turf with that fan base behind them, I think we could be on for a hiding. And again, that's not Mr. Positivity. I'm not deliberately trying to be negative, I'm just being real. I think we could be on for a hiding.
Well, you're right, to be honest. I think realistically that is... Everything you've said will come into it, and that does scare me to an extent. What about you, Kev?
Yeah, I agree. I know we done warm weather conditioning last summer, and to get sort of used to that kind of stuff. I think probably for Florence more than in Istanbul, more than Latvia, believe me, because when I was there it wasn't that warm. But I think the game kicks off what is 6 o'clock our time, which I think is 8 o'clock over there. Might be wrong, and you're still going to be looking, as you rightly say, probably high 20s. I guess none of the guys have really ever played in that kind of temperature before. I know we had a game against whoever it was at Plymouth in pre-season in the south of Spain, but you've got to be playing in that kind of temperature on a regular basis to get sort of accustomed to it, and that may be part of the reason as to why the team have went out there today. When we went to play Trondheim, I'm sure we went out the day before the game.
Yeah.
This time we've went out with, so we'll get probably 2 days as such, match day and tomorrow, to get a bit acclimatised. But you're asking a hell of a lot from the team, if you ask me. I believe they won at the weekend. So from that point of view, I think they sit joint top of the Greek league at the moment. So they're no bad side. We've seen that on Thursday night. 2 of their best players, I believe, didn't travel because of visa issues. So I'm guessing they'll be back in the squad for Thursday night's game. Okay, let's put a bit of positive in it. We get an early goal. That's all you need is 1-0. You're then asking for a hell of a defensive display to get you through to the later parts of the match to keep it alive. A second goal makes it very interesting. And we've got players that have got goals in them. So from that side of things, it could happen. And I would go as far to say that if we do get anything on Thursday night, it goes down as the biggest and best European night ever in the club's history, I would say. I know there's, the night against Bayern Munich, 1-0, that was, Ando, you and I have spoken about that night before. You'll never forget it. I know the one thing you remember of that night, and that was the steam coming off everybody's head going up towards the Capitol decorators.
Or the Tabrik, whatever, the combination of both. But
exactly, mate.
But I think you're absolutely right. I don't think there would be a bigger result if we did qualify against them. Definitely not. It would be the absolute standout, and just for that reason, it won't happen.
Yeah, probably. Thanks for shooting me down in flames, mate.
If we do get an early goal, it'll be a late equaliser or something. It'll be bittersweet as it always is. You want to just predict this then? Might as well predict this game and then we'll move on to the next.
PAOK 3, Hearts 0.
Yeah, can't disagree with that. 3-0.
I'll be a bit more positive. I'll go
2-0.
1-1.
1-1.
Just because I said it would be bittersweet, we'll score a goal and then we'll be like, I'll tie on, and they'll end up scoring.
What the chances are if we do score on Thursday night? What are the chances of Shanks actually seeing it?
What's the chances of Shanks actually seeing it? The game.
Well, what's the chances of Shanks actually getting there? Because they've had problems already.
He was away.
They were supposed to fly tonight from Edinburgh to Gatwick, but they decided because of various different problems and that flight being pushed back that they would get the train instead. So they have decided to go by train, which gets them in at stupid o'clock in the morning for their flight tomorrow morning out to Greece.
I hope everyone gets there this book, to be honest, because obviously with the air issues we've had this week.
Who's looking after Shanks? Have we employed a handler?
No.
Just so anyone that sees Shanks, please look out for him. This is what Ando's plead to everyone is. They are essentially.
If you see him, right, either stick a toe tag on him and phone the ambulance, or stick a luggage label on him and just leave him at the front door of the airport. It'll be fine.
Just
I'm sure they'll look after him.
Good luck, Luke. Good luck, Luke. That's all I'm going to say.
Right, shall we move on then? Who's ready to get angry? Because obviously we're not too happy with the result on Thursday, but in typical Hearts fashion, the way we start a game on Sunday, it was like we'd had the biggest of hangovers from Europe all over again. I suppose teams that what is, we'll not worry about that because it's similar to what we were saying on pre-Thursday's game. But that first half, Kev, try and find me a positive out of that first half.
The first half finished 0-0. That's the only positive you can get, mate. That's genuinely the only positive you can have. They scored. It was thinged for offside, but that was that was one of the worst 45 minutes of football I've seen from Hearts for a long time, and that includes the shitty display up at Aberdeen earlier this season when Nielsen should have been sacked there on the spot while he was actually in the centre circle applauding the Hearts fans. it was one of the worst displays of football I've ever seen. And to choose or to select certain players and the positions that they selected them, in my opinion, is shocking.
Yeah.
Again, it goes back to what Corbett has said on a number of times, of round pegs, square holes, round pegs. Whichever way you want to look at it, stop it. It was shocking. And the other part that really annoyed me, and you might have taken this away on Sunday, Tam, if you can remember, because you were still pretty drunk at the time. The thing that annoyed me more was people who would lose the ball or lose a 50-50 battle and just give up and jog or walk. That I do not accept. I do not accept it as a Hearts fan. I do not accept that at all. And there's been a number of people at the club saying that fans have an expectation level. Well, I can tell you now that expectation was not even close to being on a par with N, and it was shocking.
To be honest, you're right, and I was going to say it doesn't even matter about the square pegs, round holes part of things. Nobody actually knew what they were doing. There was no intent. There was no pace to anything. It was possession, and it was very defensive, lackluster. All the negatives that we've gave Hearts in the last 2 years. It was like a big, I don't know, answer to it all, and put it all into one, and that's how we performed. And as Kev says, we're just lucky it was 0-0 at halftime. And to then, I don't know what was said, but obviously to have to then make 3 changes to try and change the game all at halftime, it shows that whatever we've set up in the first instance was completely off it, to be honest.
Totally agree.
There's a couple of questions to me. Is firstly, why? The Corbett said a few weeks ago, if Hearts continue to win games of football, there'll be no question asked in regards to the management setup. Nobody will give 2 jots what's happening, as long as there is a winning team on the park. Now, we've seen, okay, as you rightly say, a half-decent performance on Thursday night, but that was, not the case on Sunday. And you do start to question, is it a case that some players are listening to one person over the other? Are the 2 of them singing from the same hymn book? Because, as you rightly say, there was a number of players that didn't know what the hell they were supposed to be doing.
Yep.
Weren't sticking to positions, It's football's a simple game. If you just play it simply, but we didn't even do that. There was no pace. There was no nothing. It was Nielsen ball, as I'm starting to call it. Let's just keep a hold of it. If we win the possession count and percentage, that's all good and well. Do something with it. You didn't get any extra points at the end of the season for having 63% of possession in a game. So, get that in the bin straight away. And I mentioned it, I think it was last week or the week before. If it continues like that, we as fans have been sold an absolute major dummy, because this is not going to change anytime soon, in my opinion.
You called out at the game. I can't remember what it was in regards to. Not that I can't remember because of how much I drank, as you would just about to say, Kev. But you called it straight out of the game. You're like, the whole bench is sitting down, and we were having an absolute shocker at that point. And you're like, not one of them is taking like any sort of
ownership. There was no ownership at all.
Exactly.
Whether that's on the park or whether that's on the bench, no one was taking any form of ownership. Shankland was. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt here. Shankland was trying to get involved, where he could. You could see him talking to Vargas, talking to Oda, trying to get those guys and dropping deep to get the ball to try and get things going. But at no point did you actually think that anybody knew what the hell they were doing. And that's a worry. We were told, and we've seen Naismith, and I think probably most of us in this podcast at the end of last season agreed that the Naismith was going to happen, but it wasn't the right move at the time. I don't think it was the right move for an under-20 coach who had very little coaching ability, experience to take over what is the third biggest team in the country. That's just that's to me, it was screaming a number of different things, including it's the cheap option. And that on Sunday was, we were told how we were going to get attacking football.
Yeah,
I don't think any of those players could even spell attack, never mind actually do it.
So here we go, right? This is where I'll chime in. So I seen that. Was it Shanklin that came out and said it? Said we were ready for Dundee. It'll be attack. I'm sure it was Shanklin, but anyway, then part of me thinks, yes, yeah, beauty, we've learned, but then no, in the same and almost tongue-in-cheek way, just said bullshit. It's not going to happen, right? So if you think about everything that happened, we dominated possession for possession's sake, and I've been saying this, it's a phrase I've been saying for fucking years since we started this podcast, which is possession without penetration, right? There's just nothing, absolutely nothing was being generated. And that's not for the lack of trying for some players. Look, Boyce he was off it. He was all right when he was on. Shanklin, to your point, I think was getting involved a little bit. But are you surprised? There's the loaded question, right? Because I'm not. I could have told you that is exactly how we were going to play. That is exactly the reaction we were going to see after Thursday night. If we'd won on Thursday night, right, and beaten PAOK, I guarantee it still would have been like that. This is domestic league football away from home, and it's the same cookie cutter shite that we've had for, decade?
Yeah, I would go as far to say that over the last probably 10 seasons, with the exception of the couple of seasons in the Championship for whatever reason, but in Premier League football, I don't think, and you can go away and check this out, Ando, because I know you probably got all the stats in front of you, but I would go as far to say that I don't think we've won any more than 25 games of football away from home in 10 years. 10 seasons, let's put 10 seasons in the Premier League. I don't think we have won any more than 25 games.
Right, well, you chat amongst yourself and I'll figure that out. So we'll not include this season because it's a fairly small measure.
We've only won one, so it
games.
doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Exactly. But I genuinely would go as far to say that is the case. And yeah, I would be surprised.
You know, I would
genuinely be surprised.
The crazy thing as well, Dundee knew exactly how to prepare for us. Tony Docherty had however he done it, but the goal's a prime example. It's let us pass it around the back and press us from that second pass. And they were happy for us to have that possession for possession's sake. And it shows the difference that we're saying nobody knew what they were doing. The Dundee players all knew what they were doing on Sunday there. And they all knew. And as I say, the goal's a prime example of it. And we spoke about it pre-podcast there, but I kind of don't want to call Denham out for it. Shanklin's not came out and called him out for it because there is experienced pros around him there for that goal. And Clark, Rills, Devlin are all around him that should be giving him a shout, not putting him in that position in the first place. And yeah, that's it. But that was, honestly, I was ready to give up at the point of that goal going in. That was the worst thing I've seen going in.
Well, I'm going to say I'll say two things. They took Denham off 5-10 minutes after it, and the lad was, I'm not saying distraught, but he knew perfectly well that it was his mistake, right? And you're right, Tam. Questions could be asked of why has Clark made that pass to Rills in the first place? Why is Rills even given the ball to Denham? Well, I'll tell you why Rills is giving the ball to Denham. It's because we've been told for this tippy-tappy football. You know, pass move. Well, nobody was moving on Sunday, so pass move doesn't work. When people aren't willing to get up and move and do the hard work of find space, it's glaringly obvious. And there was a number of times as well on Sunday, and I said this to you as well, Tam, and my nephew, it was him that first called it to me. He says, if you watch that Dundee back line, they're very, very straight. But at no point did we play any single ball through between their centre-half and right back, left back, whatever.
Yeah.
Until about the 60th minute. But you could see it was glaringly obvious that was the pass to make. Now that says two things to me. One, players aren't moving into the space. and 2, you've got nobody creative enough in midfield to actually see that pass.
Yeah. And I think it's more the second option for me, to be honest, Kev. I know that the run's not been happening, but if you put a ball in there in front of Vargas or an Oda or a Tagawa, for example, they should be chasing that ball. So
done it on Thursday night.
Yeah,
that's how Vargas got the chance to actually, to go through.
Spot on. But yep,
we didn't do it on Sunday at all. Yes, we were different for the first 10-15 minutes at the start of the second half. Boyce, Atkinson looked good. I think my nephew did a few too much to drink as well, thinking that he was the best player that we've signed in God knows how many years, he said.
He did say that, didn't he, actually? Yeah.
He did.
So I thought moving Lowry out to the wing as well was a lot better.
It was.
Yeah.
He's better out there. But again, go back to what Ando said earlier on, the inclusion and the introduction of Boyce into that team started things.
Yeah, definitely.
Movement was happening. He's able to actually see that pass. That was there. But others were just not seeing it. We're not actually picking up on those particular points and passes as much as they can. Ando, it looks like you've got some news for me.
I do have some news for you. So, in the 10 seasons, so I'll just tell you the boundaries of this. So, in the last 10 competitive seasons in top flight football, so obviously not including the championship, then we have played a total of 187 games away from home. All right. So,
oh my God.
Now let's make this competitive.
Well, don't worry, man. I am gonna. Right. So, what do you want to do? Do you want to do closest to the pin? Do you want to do just the number of wins or the percentage win rate? What do you want to do? Just the total number of games we've won away from home out of that 187.
Number of wins. That was what I called out 5 minutes ago when you went away to start on that particular bit. And I said I don't believe we have any more than 25, so I am going to stick with 24.
Right, fair enough. Right, Tam.
I could be a right dick and just go 25 here. Just but I'm going to actually 180. Bear in mind we had the championship seasons.
Yeah, we're not including them, mate.
I do not say we're including them. I wasn't listening. I zoned it. Not going to lie. Doesn't matter. I'll not include them. So I'm going to say 52.
Okay, right. So Tam is just closest. So out of the 187, by the way, 187. Here you go. Here's your fun fact of the day. 187 is the telephone number you would dial in America to report a dead body. Right. So how
187 Hearts.
187 lockdown. That is look at the synergies we've got there. That's amazing, right? So Hearts away from home are a murdered dead body. So there you go. The actual number is 42. So 42 games we've won out of the 187, which is 22.4%. So it is by far the lowest of the three categories. Then we have drawn 56, which is as near as makes no difference, 30%. And we have lost 89 of them, which is 48%. So out of the 187 games we've played away from home in the last 10 years, we've basically lost half of them. We have drawn a third of them, really, and then the rest. Small, tiny. You could almost hold it in one hand, the amount of victories we've got. So there you go.
Like Tam's left bollock.
Okay.
I'd be worried if I had to hold it in two hands, to be honest, mate. But that's fine.
Right, but there you go. Yeah, so you weren't any miles off the pace, Kev. It was fairly close, but Tam's beat you.
Just got my numbers in the wrong way.
Yeah. It's actually
it's embarrassing. I think we're laughing it up here.
It's the main thing.
We're laughing it up here, but that's shit horrible.
Mate, you've got to laugh or you just cry. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
The other point I wanted to make in regards to the mistake on Sunday is take the hat off to the boy. The boys hit it absolutely perfectly. And the one part, I mean, you can see Clark trying to get to it, and he's about 2 or 3 inches off actually getting a fingertip that might have pushed it around the post. I don't know, but take the hat off to the boy for his effort. But it doesn't shy away from the fact that we just did not do enough with the football on Sunday at all. Even without the football, because there was no movement, there was no nothing.
I don't know what our resident keeper, because obviously he's retired from this gig now, but our former resident keeper, Brads, I don't know what his thoughts would be on Xander Clark's positioning for that whole escapade, because he was far enough away that he probably needed an Uber to get back into the goals, right? It was absolutely shocking. Maybe it's just me. I don't think he should be that far out.
You know the problem I have with Ando? He will have been told to take that free kick, because he was doing it on Thursday night as well. It was taking anything within 30 yards of the goal. He was taking every single one, and it wasn't like they were then going long and put up the pool. They would then just pass it short, and you could see it happen on Thursday, and I didn't notice it. And then obviously it was just a matter of time before something like that happens.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, right, if you continue to do the same thing, you'll continue to get the same result, right? So that's the first time that obviously that's probably happened as well, as badly as I can think for a wee while, right?
Of course.
It'd be interesting to see, because we're going to have a game coming up against Motherwell on Sunday, because I don't expect Xander Clark's going to be in too many of their positions on Thursday, but let's strike a line through Thursday and just move forward to Sunday and say what's going to happen against Motherwell. It is Motherwell, eh? Yeah.
Yeah.
Motherwell or Aberdeen, I couldn't remember what we round. Anyway, chances are he'll probably have a couple of those scenarios. Does he learn? Does he adapt? Or does the team orders change? And do they adapt to that? I don't think they will. I think that's the kind of thing that there needs to be a level of awareness of what led to your fucking mistake. Now, you could probably chalk it up to just, it's fine, it's the first time it's happened in ages, these things happen, let's just move on. But no. You need to tighten up on these things, because if it happens, if it's happened once, it'll sure as shit happen again now that it's been seen for live, if that makes sense.
Teams will be watching out for it and pressing as soon as that short pass on me.
100%.
Exactly that.
Now they know there's a weakness there, especially if Denham's in the team. Now, again, not wanting to put the boot in on the guy. Line draw and move on. But I think that part.
If you blame Denham, you Butch blame Rivals for me, to be honest. So, and he fucking will be in the team. So, press him there. And then add either he is for the second half. We done absolutely nothing after the goal.
I'm not gonna lie, lads.
Rage quit.
More or less, yeah. My Sunday lunch was nearly ready. What'd
you have?
Roast chicken. It's
nice. Nice. What were the extras?
What did it have? Didn't have a dessert, actually. No.
Oh.
I know.
Okay, thanks.
Right, well,
it was more interesting than what we done for the rest of the bit.
MasterChef Corner with Ando and Kev.
Me and Kev both got Chinese ears, and we hope. Talk about that, Kev.
Took me ages to get home, by the way.
You'd be better dropping me off then, eh? Oh.
Anything else we can talk about apart from football?
Aye, predictions for Motherwell, I suppose.
I forgot we've got a Motherwell game to look forward to. Right, okay. I'm going to take this one. I'm going to be positive. Excuse me, because I've been pretty doom and gloom for the last... for this episode, sorry, just because of the last couple of games. 3-0 for PAOK on Thursday, but yeah, Motherwell, I'm going to be positive. It's going to be 2-0 to Motherwell. That's me being positive.
That's good. I like it. Kev, you got a prediction for us?
Well, as I said earlier on, in regards to Thursday night, it's as far as I'm concerned, it's not even in the equation, and it will be, like Ando said, 3-0 PAOK, I would expect. Sunday, I think Sunday is going to be a strange one, if I'm being truthfully honest, because a lot will happen. A lot will come off the back of what happens on Thursday night. If it was to go to extra time, for example, then that has impact in regards to how the team sort of fare in regards to Sunday from a recovery point of view. But in saying that, you look at last season, we went to Latvia, we beat Riga 2-0 over there, and then we came back to domestic football on the Sunday, went to Motherwell, expected to get absolutely spanked and won 3-0. So it just shows you sometimes it's just not the way. But I think just the way we have been recently. I'll be positive. I'll be Mr. Positive. Hearts 1, Motherwell 1.
Okay.
I think we win at home. For me, we beat them at home.
On paper, we should.
We should.
I just even regardless of the travel and all that, I still think we beat them at home. They've not even got. I don't think they've. I'm not going to say that actually. I was going to speak about their striker difficulties at the moment, but yeah, let's leave that. I've got a habit of jinxing these things whenever I call them out. So
the striker difficulties are 5 goals. They've scored 5 goals in 3 games and sit third in the league. So
no, I'm just meaning they've got they're all injuries and stuff like that, and yeah,
still grinding out the wins though, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And that's the thing about it. Do you know what I mean? Again, they're set up. Managers got them, actually set up in a particular way to play football. I believe they were quite difficult to break down on Saturday against Kilmarnock, and then they scored a late winner. So from that point of view, they're doing something right. So we've only won 1 game this season, and that was against St Johnstone, who were at the beginning of the season struggling. We had 2 players on that day who looked good. They had pace. They went forward with the ball. We've had them in the coaching setup for the last 2 or 3 weeks. They're totally different players now. So there's a lot of questions to be asked. And as I say, from my point of view, I think the best we can do on Sunday is 1-1.
Vargas is probably due to drop off soon as well, due to the fact that he's been in a couple of weeks now. So yeah, I will probably not see him any longer. Cool. Any ad?
No, I'm going to take another 3 weeks off. Well, yeah, I do have something else to add. Is that whenever I'm not at Tynecastle, we seem to do okay. Like we played Partick, beat them 4-0. I wasn't there. Played PAOK, played not too bad. Unfortunately, just got a poor result.
You weren't at Rosenborg either.
Missed the Rosenborg game as well. Yeah.
And you weren't at Kelly, but Kelly was a horror show. So
Kelly, there you go.
He was at Kelly.
Oh, you were at Kelly.
Was at Kelly.
Right,
okay. That was 187 Hearts. It was calling the cops. Disgusting. So I don't know if. No, I have to come up on Sunday. I can't not.
I was just going to say, if anyone wants to buy a raffle ticket for Ando season ticket, you get to sit beside Kev.
I think there's some people.
Tell you, that's a prize and a half. That.
Well, it's okay actually because we don't have Shanks with us anymore. He's moved. So we've just got old Shanks now, which is a breath of fresh air. So
correct.
But,
he understands the game.
He does. Sort of. Right. Anyway, right. That's all I've got to say.
On that note.
Mm-hmm. On that crushing disappointment.
Cheers, lads. Don't know what else to add, but see you next week.
Catch you after.
Catch you later.
Go girls.
Thought you weren't going to say it.